The courtroom air felt thick and suffocating, as if everyone inside had suddenly forgotten how to breathe normally. Something massive was about to break, and when it finally did, it didn't just shake the room, it shattered the internet. The moment the judge delivered those words, everything changed in an instant. Chrisean Rock stood there, her body frozen in place, her face almost unnaturally still. But her eyes told an entirely different story. They darted with a mix of shock, disbelief, and something else that didn't quite add up. If you watched closely, her reaction felt off in a way that left millions of viewers replaying the clip, searching for clues. While the courtroom was still trying to process what had just happened, one name began trending at lightning speed across every platform: Blueface. What he did next wasn't a simple reaction. It was a complete meltdown. Posts appeared and vanished within minutes. Cryptic messages flooded his social media, leaving fans confused and scrambling for answers. One particular statement stood out. The one insiders are now calling the moment everything spiraled completely out of control. According to people close to the situation, Blueface wasn't just reacting to the verdict itself. He was reacting to something else. Something he allegedly discovered right after the announcement. Something that wasn't supposed to come out, not yet. If even half of the whispers circulating are true, then this situation runs much deeper, much darker, and far more personal than anyone has realized. Fans are now asking the same burning question. What exactly did Blueface see or hear that made him lose control so violently? And why are old clips, deleted live streams, and buried messages from months ago suddenly resurfacing everywhere? This is no longer just about a courtroom decision. This is about secrets, betrayal, and a truth that may have been hiding in plain sight the entire time. If you've followed social media over the past few years, you already know this wasn't some random event that appeared out of nowhere. The tension between Blueface and Chrisean Rock had been building slowly, quietly, and dangerously for a long time. From the very beginning, their relationship never felt normal. It wasn't simply toxic, it was explosive. Every time things appeared to calm down, another storm would erupt. A heated fight captured on camera, a chaotic live stream, a leaked video, or a public argument that turned into the internet's latest obsession. Their drama became addictive entertainment for millions. But behind the viral moments and trending hashtags, something much darker was always simmering. Before the courtroom headlines ever appeared, there were already clear warning signs. Old clips began resurfacing of Chrissy breaking down emotionally, saying things that seemed confusing or out of context at the time. Now, people are watching those same videos again with fresh eyes, treating them like hidden clues in a much larger puzzle. Blueface himself played a major role in the chaos. His reactions were famously unpredictable. In one moment he could appear calm and almost detached, and in the next he would go completely unfiltered, saying things that instantly went viral and sparked endless debates. His public interviews and social media outbursts only added more fuel to the fire, creating even more tension between him and Chrissy. According to various insiders, and these claims should always be taken with caution, there were many issues happening behind the scenes that never reached the public. Private arguments that weren't recorded, disagreements that stayed off camera, and decisions made in closed rooms that could have altered the entire course of events. Imagine living constantly in the spotlight while carrying the weight of intense personal pressures that no one else fully understands. That kind of environment doesn't just create problems, it turns small cracks into total explosions. And that seems to be exactly what happened here. In the weeks and months leading up to the courtroom appearance, things grew noticeably quieter. Both Blueface and Chrissy stopped posting with the same frequency. The constant chaotic live streams, the messy back-and forths, the endless updates, they all suddenly disappeared. That silence made fans uneasy. When a relationship this loud and public suddenly goes quiet, it usually means something serious is unfolding behind closed doors. Then the rumors began. At first, they were small whispers in comment sections and random posts that barely gained traction. But soon they grew louder, faster, and more intense. People started connecting dots, digging up old moments, and analyzing past behavior like amateur detectives trying to solve a complex mystery. Everything began pointing towards something far bigger than another typical public argument. The story took an even darker turn when multiple online claims surfaced about a serious incident. One serious enough to bring legal consequences into play. The details remained messy, confusing, and constantly shifting, depending on the source. Some people insisted it was being blown completely out of proportion. Others claimed it was worse than anyone could imagine, and many others believed the full truth still hadn't come out. Whatever actually happened, it was significant enough to lead directly to that tense moment in the courtroom. The moment when Chrissy stood waiting for judgment while the entire world watched. The pressure in situations like this is almost unimaginable. Every movement is judged, every word is analyzed, and every facial expression is recorded and replayed millions of times. That level of constant scrutiny doesn't just affect someone mentally, it can push people to their absolute breaking point. If the rumors hold any truth, that breaking point may have been reached long before the gavel ever came down. Throughout all of this, eyes remained fixed on Blueface. People were waiting to see exactly how he would respond. Would he stand by her side? Would he distance himself completely? Or would his reaction reveal something much more complicated? His meltdown suggested the latter. The speed and intensity of his online activity, the rapid posts, the quick deletions, the cryptic wording, hinted that he wasn't just upset about the legal outcome. Something else had clearly shaken him, something personal, something that felt like a deeper betrayal. Now fans are revisiting old interviews, deleted lives, and private messages that were once dismissed as typical relationship drama. Patterns that seemed random before are suddenly being viewed through a much darker lens. Questions are being asked about loyalty, hidden truths, and whether the public was only shown a carefully edited version of their reality all along. Some are wondering if the courtroom was merely the final chapter in a much longer, more complicated story. A story involving not just arguments and jealousy, but layers of control, resentment, and secrets that ran far deeper than the flashy cars, designer clothes, and viral moments ever suggested. The internet loves a dramatic love story, especially one filled with chaos and unpredictability. But when the chaos stops being entertaining and starts looking dangerous, the conversation changes. People who once laughed at the drama are now expressing genuine concern. Others are demanding answers, insisting that the full story needs to come out. As more old footage resurfaces and more whispers spread, the narrative keeps shifting. What once looked like typical celebrity relationship mess is starting to feel like something much more serious, something that may have been building for years beneath the surface of all those headline-grabbing moments. Blueface's explosive reaction has only intensified the speculation. Why did one particular piece of information hit him so hard? Why the sudden deletions and cryptic posts? And why does it feel like the public is only now piecing together fragments of a puzzle that was always incomplete? At the center of it all remains Chrisean, whose courtroom reaction continues to be dissected frame by frame. That frozen expression, those telling eyes, they suggest she knew far more than she could say in that moment. Or perhaps she had just realized something devastating herself. This situation has moved far beyond simple relationship drama. It has become a tangled web of public performance, private pain, alleged betrayal, and legal consequences. The kind of story where the more you look, the more questions appear instead of answers. And right now, the internet is looking very closely. What really happened behind those closed doors? What truth was Blueface confronted with in the moments after the verdict? And how many secrets were truly hiding in plain sight this entire time? The answers may still be unfolding, But one thing is certain. After this, no one will be able to look at Blueface and Christian Rock's story the same way again. The polished drama is gone. What's left is something rawer, darker, and far more complicated than the highlight reels ever showed. The silence has broken. The internet is watching. And the real story, the one that was building quietly for years, is only now beginning to fully surface. Would he support her? Would he distance himself? Or would Blueface do something completely unexpected? If you know anything about Blueface, you already knew the answer. When the verdict finally dropped, his reaction wasn't just emotional. It wasn't simply dramatic. It was something else entirely, something that has left millions of people questioning everything they thought they understood about this situation. Instead of a straightforward response, what came next felt like the beginning of a chain reaction. One post led to another. One vague statement triggered waves of speculation. Before anyone could fully process what was happening, the entire narrative started shifting at breakneck speed. Fans were no longer focused only on the sentence handed down in court. Their attention had moved to what happened afterward, the posts that went up and disappeared, the things that were deleted, and the fragments of information that might have been accidentally revealed in the chaos. Sometimes the biggest stories aren't found in the official headlines. They hide in the reactions, in the silences, and in the things people desperately try to take back. Right now, Blueface's reaction is raising far more questions than it answers. Why did he suddenly go silent after posting? Who was he allegedly talking to behind the scenes? And what exactly was in that one message? The one that people claim was deleted almost immediately, but not before sharp-eyed followers managed to screenshot it. If those screenshots are real, then everything we thought we knew about this situation might not even come close to the truth. And what comes next is where things really start to spiral out of control. The moment the courtroom doors opened, the scene outside turned into pure pandemonium. Reporters rushed forward, cameras flashed like lightning strikes, and voices overlapped in a frantic chorus of questions flying from every direction. Amid all that chaos, one detail stood out that people couldn't stop talking about. Chrisean, Rock didn't react the way anyone expected. There was no screaming, no dramatic outburst, no emotional collapse, just silence. And somehow, that silence felt even more unsettling than any outburst could have been. According to people who claim to have been inside the courtroom, her expression simply didn't match the gravity of the moment. It was almost as if she already knew what was coming, like the outcome wasn't a surprise at all. That single observation sent social media into absolute chaos within minutes. Clips started circulating everywhere, zoomed-in reactions, slowed-down footage, people analyzing every blink, every slight shift in her posture, every micro-expression. Comments exploded with theories. She knew. There's something we're not being told. This was planned, I'm telling you. But before anyone could fully digest that unsettling realization, the real storm hit from somewhere else entirely, far from the courtroom steps. Blueface picked up his phone, and everything spiraled. At first, his response seemed almost normal for him. A quick post, a short message, something vague enough to keep people guessing but emotional enough to feel raw and genuine. But then it got weird, really weird. Within minutes of posting, he deleted it. Gone. As if it had never existed, except it had been there long enough for people to capture screenshots. And once those screenshots began spreading like wildfire across every platform, there was no putting the genie back in the bottle. That first deleted message wasn't just emotional, it was deeply cryptic. The words didn't fully make sense at first glance, but once fans started breaking them down line by line, they began to sound like something much deeper, far more personal, and possibly hinting at information the public was never meant to see. One user on X captured the growing suspicion perfectly. Why does it sound like he's reacting to something other than the sentence? That single question was all it took for the narrative to shift dramatically. Suddenly, people weren't just asking what happened inside the courtroom. They were asking what Blueface knew and exactly when he knew it. It didn't stop there. Just as the internet began connecting those dots, another post appeared. This one was longer, more emotional, and far more intense. It stayed up just long enough to cause real damage before it too vanished. In it, Blueface allegedly hinted at betrayal, not in clear, direct terms, but enough for sharp readers to see between the lines. Phrases like "y'all don't even know the truth," "everything ain't what it seemed," and "I stayed quiet for a reason" stood out. When someone drops lines like that immediately after a major public verdict, what do you think people are going to assume? Exactly. The internet lost control. Fans turned into digital detectives overnight. Old videos resurfaced. Clips from months ago that had once been dismissed as typical relationship drama suddenly started trending again. Moments that seemed unimportant back then now felt loaded with hidden meaning, like scattered puzzle pieces finally clicking into place. One particular clip began blowing up across timelines. It showed Chrissy during an old live stream, visibly emotional, saying in a shaky voice that she didn't really know what really be going on. At the time, most people brushed it off as another messy moment in their chaotic relationship. But now that same line hit completely differently. It sounded less like confusion and more like a quiet warning that had gone unheard. While all of this played out publicly, there were allegedly things happening behind the scenes that added even more fuel to the fire. Private calls, frantic messages, and people reaching out to one another trying to separate fact from rumor. According to one so-called insider, and these claims should always be approached carefully, there was a particular conversation that allegedly changed everything. A conversation involving Blueface and someone very close to the entire situation. We don't have full details. There's no confirmed audio or verified transcript. But what we do have are persistent claims that whatever was said during that exchange is the real reason behind Blueface's explosive and erratic reaction. Let's pause and think about that seriously. If his meltdown wasn't simply about the court sentence, then what was it really about? What could possibly be so shocking, so unexpected, that it would trigger that level of uncontrolled response? And more importantly, why hasn't the full story been revealed yet? If this were something simple or straightforward, the details would have leaked by now. But they haven't, and that heavy silence surrounding the situation is speaking volumes. Instead of denying the rumors, instead of posting a clear explanation or trying to calm things down, he did something that only made the situation explode even further. He liked a specific post, a single, quiet like. But it wasn't just any post. It was one that directly referenced the leaked voice note. The post bluntly stated, "If this is true, then we've all been lied to." The moment followers noticed that like, the internet erupted once again. In today's digital world, a like is never just a like. It's a deliberate statement, especially when it comes from someone as closely watched as Blueface. Fans immediately began asking, was that confirmation? Was it an accident? Or was he intentionally trying to signal something without having to say the words out loud? Because everyone knows he's fully aware that millions of eyes are watching his every move, every click, and every interaction. That single like didn't feel random. It felt calculated and intentional, like he was nudging the conversation in a very specific direction without taking full ownership. While the online frenzy continued to build, more so-called insiders began speaking out. None of these claims have been officially confirmed, but the timing of their emergence made them impossible to ignore. One anonymous source alleged that tensions between Blueface and Chrisean Rock had been building intensely for weeks leading up to the courtroom appearance. There were serious disagreements, heated arguments behind closed doors, and one situation that allegedly crossed a dangerous line. But the part that shook people the most was when the source claimed, "The public doesn't even know half of what really happened." Half? Let that sink in for a moment. If everything we've witnessed, the dramatic posts, the deleted messages, the cryptic live streams, and the leaked clips represents only half the story, then what exactly makes up the other half? And more importantly, why has it remained hidden for so long? As the speculation intensified, the conversation moved beyond regular fans. Celebrities started paying close attention, dropping subtle hints through their own posts. No names were mentioned directly, but the timing felt far too perfect to be coincidental. One well-known artist tweeted, "Truth always comes out no matter how deep it's buried." Another wrote, "Y'all really be believing everything you see." Those messages felt targeted. People noticed immediately and began trying to decode who might be siding with whom, who knew more than they were letting on, and who was choosing to stay strategically silent. Because right now, silence speaks louder than any public statement could. Just when it seemed the intensity couldn't possibly rise any higher, another twist hit that completely flipped the narrative on its head. An old video clip that had barely registered when it first appeared suddenly started circulating widely. The footage showed Chrissy in what looked like a private, unfiltered moment, raw, emotional, and clearly under immense pressure. In the clip, she says something that viewers can't stop replaying. "One day, everything gonna make sense, but not right now." At the time it was originally posted, the line sounded vague and almost throwaway. But in light of everything that has unfolded since, it now carries the weight of a genuine warning, a quiet foreshadowing of something she seemed to understand long before the rest of us did. The scariest part wasn't the words themselves, but the calm certainty in her voice. She wasn't angry or overly dramatic. She simply sounded sure, as if she knew a larger truth was waiting to surface. When you combine that old clip with everything else, her composed yet unsettling courtroom reaction, Blueface's deleted posts, the abrupt live stream ending, the leaked messages, the mysterious voice note, and now this resurfaced footage, it no longer feels like a series of random coincidences. It's starting to look like a deliberate pattern, a complicated story that has been unfolding slowly, piece by piece, right in front of the public eye. We just didn't have the full context to see it clearly at the time. Then came the moment that pushed the entire situation over the edge. Just as the internet was struggling to process the flood of information, Blueface dropped another post with no warning and no buildup. It was a single, chilling line. "Y'all not ready for what's next." That was it. No explanation, no follow-up, no context, just those ominous words hanging in the digital air. Consider the timing. After all the confusion, all the speculation, all the leaks and counterleaks, he chose that exact moment to post something so provocative. It didn't feel like a casual update. To many, it read like a threat, a promise, or perhaps a stark warning about what was still to come. And suddenly, nobody knew what to believe anymore. Every new piece of information wasn't clarifying the picture. It was making everything more complicated, more intense, and far more unpredictable. The biggest question on everyone's mind became, what exactly is next? Because if everything we've witnessed until now is truly just the beginning, then whatever is coming could do more than shock the internet. It has the potential to completely rewrite the entire story we thought we understood. And according to Blueface's own words, it's already in motion. At this point, the situation had evolved far beyond simple drama. It had become a full-blown online war. The second that post, "Y'all not ready for what's next," went live, the internet exploded in a way that felt uncontrollable. Timelines flooded with comments, theories, and accusations. Comment sections turned into heated battlegrounds. Fan pages began dropping elaborate theories as if they were breaking news updates. And right at the center of all that chaos, two names kept colliding over and over again: Blueface versus Christian Rock. But here's what made it even crazier: people weren't just reacting anymore. They were actively choosing sides, and once that division began, there was no going back. The fanbase split sharply into two opposing camps. On one side, Chrissy's supporters rallied hard in her defense. They dug up old clips, reposted interviews, and passionately argued that everyone had ignored the warning signs for far too long. She'd been trying to tell us, they insisted. Everyone switched up too fast. Some created lengthy threads meticulously breaking down her past statements, connecting dots that most casual observers had completely missed. The tone in these discussions was emotional and fiercely protective, almost as if many fans now felt guilty for not recognizing the deeper issues sooner. On the other side, Blueface's supporters refused to back down. They weren't conceding any ground. Instead, they shared clips of his past interviews, his unpredictable reactions, and his earlier warnings, claiming he had been subtly hinting at something much deeper for a long time. One particularly viral comment captured their stance perfectly. He's not reacting to the situation. He's reacting to the truth finally coming out. In an instant, the narrative fractured into two completely different realities. One group saw Chrissy as someone who had been quietly enduring and trying to signal for help. The other viewed Blueface as the one who had been holding back uncomfortable truths that the public wasn't ready to face. This divide turned the conversation into something far more personal and volatile. Friendships online were tested. Accusations flew in both directions, and the original courtroom verdict almost became secondary to the larger battle over who was really telling the truth and who had been deceiving everyone all along. As the hours passed, the story continued to evolve at a dizzying pace. Every new like, every deleted post, every resurfaced clip, and every cryptic statement added another layer of complexity. What started as a reaction to a legal outcome had transformed into a sprawling saga of alleged betrayal, hidden knowledge, and carefully timed revelations. The public is still watching, still dissecting, and still waiting for the next bombshell. Because if the voice note was right, if the full truth really hasn't emerged yet, then the events unfolding now may only be the opening chapter of something far more significant. And with Blueface's latest warning still echoing across the internet, y'all not ready for what's next. It's clear that whatever is coming could redefine how we see this entire tangled relationship once and for all. Here's a rewritten version of the script, expanded to approximately 1,500 words. All timestamps have been removed, and the narrative flows as one continuous, dramatic story with natural pacing, deep exploration of the chaos, and strong engagement hooks suitable for a YouTube video. At this stage, the situation had moved far beyond facts. It had become a matter of belief. Who do you trust? What feels real in all this noise? And most importantly, what are they still not telling us? Social media went into absolute overdrive. This wasn't just trending anymore, it was dominating every corner of the internet. No matter which platform you opened, the same core story appeared, though each version carried its own spin, its own theories, and its own level of intensity. TikTok overflowed with detailed breakdown videos. Creators slowed down clips frame by frame, zoomed in on facial expressions, and dissected every micro-movement like seasoned detectives hunting for hidden clues. On X, formerly Twitter, long threads stretched 50, 60, even 100 posts deep as users tried to reconstruct an exact timeline of events. Instagram blog pages posted rapid-fire updates every few minutes, treating the unfolding drama like a live sporting event. The comment sections were pure chaos, people arguing passionately, accusing one another, fiercely defending their favorites, and sometimes switching sides mid-thread as new information surfaced. You could watch opinions flip in real time. That's how feverish and volatile the atmosphere had become. As solid facts grew scarce, wild theories rushed in to fill the void. Some of them were so detailed and elaborate that they were hard to dismiss outright. One popular theory suggested that everything the public had witnessed so far was merely a small fragment of a much larger situation deliberately kept hidden from view. Another claimed that the live streams, the posts, the deletions, and even the periods of silence were all carefully connected pieces of a puzzle that only now were starting to reveal their full pattern. A more conspiratorial group believed the entire saga was never meant to remain private, that it had been destined to explode publicly, and someone somewhere had known exactly how it would play out. Whether any of these theories hold truth remains unknown, but the sheer fact that people are constructing such intricate narratives reveals just how deeply this story has embedded itself into the public consciousness. As the online frenzy intensified, celebrities began subtly picking sides without ever mentioning names directly. This is when things grew even more fascinating. Once big names in the industry start reacting, you know the situation has crossed into serious territory. At first, their involvement remained understated, short tweets, vague Instagram captions, or cryptic quotes that could technically apply to anything, yet somehow felt laser-focused on this exact drama. One artist posted, "People love you until the truth shows up." Another wrote, "Some stories got layers y'all ain't ready for." Statements like these landed with heavy impact. Fans instantly began tagging names, making bold assumptions, and attempting to decode who might be referring to Blueface, who might be supporting Chrissy Rock, or who was simply watching the chaos unfold from a safe distance. Even though no one spoke explicitly, the underlying message was unmistakable. The entire industry was paying close attention. Mainstream media soon added more fuel to the fire. Blogs, entertainment outlets, and self-proclaimed sources close to the situation jumped into the conversation. Once professional media became involved, the messiness increased dramatically because now the discussion no longer felt like pure speculation. It started carrying the weight of supposed insider information. Headlines appeared with provocative titles such as "Inside the Chaos," "What Really Happened?" and behind-the-scenes sources reveal there's more to the story. However, every new article seemed to contradict the last in small but significant ways. One source claimed the public had misunderstood key details. Another hinted at hidden information that could change perceptions entirely. A third suggested the legal matter was far from resolved and more developments were imminent. Instead of bringing clarity, this wave of coverage only deepened the confusion. With so many conflicting accounts circulating, trust eroded further. Nobody knew what to believe anymore. Out of all the reactions, one particular statement cut through the noise and made people stop scrolling entirely. It didn't come from a celebrity or a major blog. It came from someone claiming to be close to both Blueface and Chrissy Rock. The message read, "Y'all arguing over pieces when the full story hasn't even started yet." Read that again. The full story hasn't even started yet. When you consider everything already exposed, the tense courtroom moment, the raw emotional reactions, the deleted posts, the chaotic live streams, the leaked messages, and the mysterious voice notes, the idea that none of it represents the complete picture is deeply unsettling. That single line shook the internet because if it's even partially accurate, then what we're witnessing right now is only the opening chapter. Everything feels unfinished, like we're standing on the edge of something much larger. The energy across social media shifted noticeably at this point. It was no longer just loud and chaotic, it had become tense and anticipatory. People refreshed their feeds constantly, waiting for the next bombshell. The atmosphere felt electric, as if something significant could drop at any second. The scariest element was the uncertainty. Nobody could predict where it would come from. Would it be another cryptic post, a new leak, a surprise live stream, or something no one had even considered? This situation has repeatedly proven that nothing is predictable. Just when you think you've seen the peak, something even bigger emerges. And that's exactly what happened late one night, when most people assumed the chaos might finally be settling. Without any warning or buildup, a new piece of information surfaced. This time it didn't feel like random speculation. It felt deliberate and targeted. A screenshot began circulating that stood apart from previous leaks. It was cleaner, more detailed, and far more specific. The kind of image that forces you to pause, zoom in, reread every word and whisper, "Wait, what?" What made this screenshot particularly explosive was its timing. The conversation it captured hadn't taken place after the courtroom verdict. It had occurred well before. This revelation suggested that much of what the public interpreted as spontaneous reactions might actually be calculated responses to events that had already unfolded behind closed doors. If true, the entire timeline everyone had been meticulously piecing together was fundamentally wrong. The message itself carried an even more disturbing tone. It hinted at tension that went beyond simple emotion. It sounded strategic and premeditated. Phrases like "don't say anything yet," "let it play out," "they'll figure it out after," raised serious questions about orchestration and hidden motives. If those words are authentic, this is no longer mere relationship drama. This is strategy, cold, calculated moves playing out in public view while the real game happened off camera. Suddenly, people began re-examining every silence, every post, and every emotional outburst through a completely different lens. What once looked impulsive now appeared potentially planned. Right after this screenshot gained massive traction, Blueface went completely silent. No new posts, no responses, no live streams, nothing. For someone known for reacting quickly, loudly, and publicly, this abrupt disappearance felt unnatural and alarming. When a central figure in such a loud saga suddenly goes quiet, it usually means they possess information they're not yet ready to share. Chrisean remained equally silent. Not a single statement, not one post, not even a subtle reaction to the storm raging around her. That mutual silence from the two people at the absolute center of the controversy might be the most unsettling detail of all. While the entire internet argued, speculated, and picked sides, the main characters offered zero commentary. Two people, a massive public situation, global attention, and complete radio silence. That isn't coincidence. It's building pressure, the kind that doesn't simply fade away but eventually explodes. As tension mounted, a new rumor began spreading rapidly. It started quietly but soon echoed everywhere. People claimed something even bigger was coming, a major reveal larger than any previous leak, post, or courtroom moment. Some speculated it might be a never-before-seen video. Others whispered about damning audio. A few believed a carefully timed statement was being deliberately withheld for maximum impact. The uncertainty around the timing made everyone uneasy. If this new piece of information exists and hasn't dropped yet, someone is clearly waiting for the perfect moment, waiting so the blow lands with full force. Imagine for a second that everything you've witnessed until now, every reaction, every leak, every theory, was merely the setup. What if the real story hasn't even properly begun? Nothing about this saga feels resolved. There are too many unanswered questions, too many gaps in logic, and too many moments that still don't add up no matter how many times you replay them. The biggest question consuming everyone right now is simple. What happens when that final missing piece finally drops? If the events so far have already created this level of chaos and division, then whatever comes next won't just trend, it will completely take over. It could fundamentally alter how people view the entire history of this relationship, flipping perceptions of the past, the present, and everything in between in a single moment. We're all left here watching, waiting, constantly refreshing, desperately trying to separate truth from manipulation. Yet deep down, a shared feeling persists. This isn't over, not even close. Something is coming. And when it finally arrives, it might be the moment everything suddenly makes perfect sense, or the moment the confusion deepens beyond repair. Either way, one thing is certain. The next major development is going to shock nearly everyone. When it happens, you'll want to be paying attention. After everything we've unpacked, the twists, the leaks, the emotional reactions, the heavy silences, and the non-stop chaos, take a moment to really reflect on this situation. It's far from clear, and it may run much deeper than any of us have fully realized. So let me ask you directly, Do you actually believe everything we've been shown so far? Or do you suspect there's still something huge being deliberately hidden behind the scenes? Because at this point, it's no longer just about what happened. It's about what we're not being told. And that's exactly where things start to feel dangerous. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Whose side are you on? Are you standing firmly with Blueface? Do you believe Chrissy Rock has been misunderstood this entire time? Or do you think both sides are hiding important pieces of the truth? Be honest and don't hold back. The comment section for this story has already turned into a battlefield, and I want to know exactly where you stand. If you've made it this far, you already understand that this isn't just another fleeting celebrity drama. This is a story that keeps evolving, growing more intense with every passing hour, and clearly hasn't reached its conclusion yet. With all the hints, the accidental revelations, and the lingering questions that refuse to fade, there's simply no way this ends quietly. So here's what I need from you. Hit that like button if you want continued updates on this rapidly developing situation, because the next chapter could finally expose the layers we've all been missing. Subscribe if you haven't already. You do not want to miss the moment the next bombshell drops. And turn on notifications so you're among the first to know when fresh information breaks. Things are moving incredibly fast right now, and the next update could arrive at any moment. Before we wrap up, I'll leave you with one final question to sit with. What if the biggest twist in this entire story still hasn't happened yet? Think about that carefully, because if the hints and whispers are pointing towards something real, then the next major reveal won't just shock the internet. It might permanently change the way you view this whole situation. Stay ready, something is coming. And when it does, we'll be right here breaking it all down.